This CloudFormation template creates a private API gateway named MyPrivateAPI with a description of my private API gateway. It specifies the endpoint type as private, meaning the API gateway will have a private endpoint accessible only within your VPC. Additionally, it includes a tag with the key environment and value production. For CRUD operations on the API gateway stack, you can use the AWS CLI or SDKs. Here are the commands. Create a private API gateway. Bash. Copy code. AWS CloudFormation create stack. Stack name MyPrivateAPI gateway stack. Template body file :/private-API gateway-template. YAML. Read details of the private API gateway. Bash. Copy code. AWS API get REST API. REST API ID API ID. Update the private API gateway. Bash. Copy code. AWS API update REST API. REST API ID API ID patch operations op equals replace path equals /description value equals updated description. Delete the private API gateway. Bash. Copy code. AWS CloudFormation delete stack. Stack name MyPrivateAPI gateway stack. An analogy for managing a private API gateway stack could be compared to managing a private road within your property. Creating a private API gateway is like building a private road that connects different parts of your property, such as services within your VPC. Only authorized users within your VPC can access this road and the resources it connects to. This script is a CloudFormation template written in YAML format. It defines a private API gateway resource named MyPrivateAPI gateway. Let's break down each part of the script. 1. AWS template format version 2010-09-09. This line specifies the version of the AWS CloudFormation template format being used. In this case, it indicates the initial version released in September 2010. 2. Resources. This section defines the AWS resources that will be created or managed by the CloudFormation template. 3. MyPrivateAPI gateway. This is the logical name of the API gateway resource being defined. 4. Type. AWS. API gateway. REST API. Specifies the type of AWS resource to create, which is a REST API in this case. 5. Properties. Defines the configuration properties for the API gateway. Name. MyPrivateAPI. Specifies the name of the API gateway as MyPrivateAPI. Description. MyPrivateAPI gateway provides a description for the API gateway. Endpoint configuration configures the endpoint types for the API gateway. Types. Private. Specifies the endpoint type as private, meaning the API gateway will have a private endpoint accessible only within your VPC. Tags. Specifies tags to associate with the API gateway. Key. Environment. Specifies the key of the tag as environment. Value. Production. Specifies the value of the tag as production. This CloudFormation script creates a private API gateway with specified configuration settings, including the name, description, endpoint configuration, and tags. The API gateway will have a private endpoint and will be tagged with the key environment and value production.